Fulham nil, Chelsea 2. Yes, people, wife boy. And the story of today is that Michaela Mudryk bagged his first Chelsea, and I guess Premier League goal. I never thought the day would come, to be honest, man. When Chelsea signed him, obviously, he was on the verge of going to our club, Arsenal, ended up going to Chelsea. Many thought, he's gone to Chelsea. He's taken him off Arsenal. He might turn out to be the next best thing and haunt Arsenal for the next 2-3 years. He didn't really do anything, to be honest, Mudryk. But finally, he's managed to get his first goal. And look, I low-key feel happy for the guy because it's never good to get the treatment that he's been getting because it's clearly not been a good time for him at Chelsea Football Club. It's not been a good time for him personally and professionally because he's suffered a lot. And look, some of it's down to him, of course, but also it's down to Chelsea as well. I think Chelsea as a football club have really struggled, to be honest, since the takeover really with Todd Bowley. For all the money they've spent, it has come crashing down them in horrendous ways. They've not been anywhere near what people would have expected of Chelsea Football Club. So I thought today was a massive win. You could tell by the fans as well, the way they were celebrating at around 70, 80 minutes, knowing they were going to get one their rare win so far in this Premier League season. It really meant a lot to them. So I've got to give Chelsea a heap of credit because I did not see this one coming. Not one bit. I did not see them winning this game at all, to be honest with you guys. Going into the game, they were missing both their starting fullbacks, Ben Chilwell and, of course, Reece James, who's a long-term absentee. They're going into this game with players that lack confidence, lack any sort of assurance. Yeah, they still come out with a really solid away day performance against a really good Fulham side. I mean, Marco Silva always sets out his teams to play really well defensively first and then look to build on that in attacking ways. But Fulham weren't on it today. They missed an extra step. They were making defensive errors. I mean, if you look at Chelsea's goals, right, they were coming, to be honest with you guys. I know Chelsea have had a decent XG this whole season. They just haven't managed to convert their chances. But there were chances coming for Chelsea Football Club. Fulham were making mistake after mistake at the back. And every time Mudryk got the ball on the left-hand side, Fulham didn't really know how to contend with it, to be honest with you guys. Didn't really know what to do. Didn't know whether to push up on him or to sag off. And Mudryk was having the time of his life on that left-hand side. And look, he got chance after chance and finally took his first chance, man. Ball over the top. Smart finish for the keeper's legs as well. Really good finish. And look, I'm low-key happy for Mudryk with that one because the brothers waited 9 months like a pregnant woman, to be honest, to finally score. So it's big up him to finally get his first goal. And you could tell by the way he celebrated, man. It meant the absolute world to him. He's obviously gone through a tough time. But then straight after that, misery compiler for Chelsea. Armando Broja this time getting the goal. And it's just poor from Tim Ream, man. Really weird pass at the back. Like so lackadaisical for a veteran leader that's been at that club for a long time and been around the game for a long time. To make a pass like that, a wayward pass, is so off color for him. So gave it away, and then Chelsea broke instantly. Very fortunate the way to go and end up in the back of net. But you know what they say, man. When you're struggling for goals, sometimes you need all the luck you can get. And Armando Broja was right place, right time, stab into the bottom corner. And I felt for Broja because obviously he comes into the team Armando Broja after Nicholas Jackson's been injured. Sorry, not injured, suspended. And they've got no real other striker. He's come straight back into the side off his long-term injury. And he had a glorious chance after about, I want to say 3 or 4 minutes, where he went round the keeper and just skied his effort. And you're sitting there thinking, wow, it's the story of Chelsea Football Club. Once again, not quite being able to put the ball in the back of net. But that chance right there, can't say he knew an awful lot about it. I think I would have scored the same chance. To be honest, it's not like he really intended to do it. But right place, right time, stuck his leg out, and he got his reward. And once Chelsea went 2-0 up, you can see the confidence really started to enter their belief system. And they really started to play football off the back of that, man. Because at the start of the game, I thought Chelsea started really well, but we've seen Chelsea start football games well. This is nothing new. Chelsea have actually played okay this season. I don't think their actual quality of performances on the football pitch correlate to where they are in the table. I just think they can't put the ball in the back of net, and they're too leaky at the back. But today, I thought they actually played really well, and they got the goals that they deserved. And after that, I thought they defended superbly, man. I thought certain players did really well. For Enzo Fernandez and Conor Gallagher, both were in the running for man of the match. Their midfield duo, absolutely running ragged in that midfield, man. Up and down like workhorses, running forever and ever. So I've got to give them a heap of credit for what they were doing in that midfield. Conor Gallagher and Enzo Fernandez, I thought they were absolutely fantastic as a pair together. I thought Caicedo shielded the back four really good. I don't think Fulham really had anything in this game, to be honest with you guys, which is rare. It's rare, obviously, Fulham who are a good attacking team, but also you're playing away from home. It's very rare that the home team doesn't have any sort of joy in the football match. But I think other than maybe like a 10-minute spell in that second half where Sasha Lukic probably should have scored a goal for Fulham, I don't think Fulham really had anything in this football match. I think Chelsea could come away relatively pleased with their defensive performance and definitely their attacking performance because they limited Fulham to scraps, to be honest, on the offensive end. So I think they got to have a heap of credit for that, Mauricio Pochettino's men. And look, Chelsea, obviously, I've got a big game coming up now against Burnley in the league. It's a game they're expected to win. I think Burnley are not a team that you are really going to fear playing against, to be honest, under Vincent Kompany. It's not like the Burnley in the past, but despite not being a very good football team, they'd always give you a tough game because of their tenacious ability, their combative, etc. The Burnley nowadays aren't like that. The Burnley nowadays, actually, I'm going to call them a little bit soft, which is crazy because that would never be synonymous with Burnley under their old manager in Sean Dyche. So I think Burnley now is actually a team you don't mind playing against. They're going to be a little bit soft and a bit easy to play against. So I think it's a game that Chelsea should relish. And look, Chelsea obviously have not had a great start to the season. I put them to finish fifth this year, I believe, or fourth. I think I put them to finish fifth this year, right? And for them to finish fifth, they're going to have a massive mountain to climb. Look, it's only 7 games in. They've got plenty of time to turn it around. But I think the biggest thing for Chelsea is they really need to sort out, A, their starting 11, and B, their real system of playing, get some confidence back into the team today. Because Chelsea, for the past few weeks, have lacked a lot of confidence. And that's been a real dire point for them. Now, I believe, under Mauricio Pochettino, in this game at least, they had their confidence back. And I think this is the thing, right, with football. Football's a very funny and fickle game. Once you score a goal, the confidence always seems to come back into the side. It's really crazy like that. I feel like you could be the best players in the world, but if you don't obviously start on a high form, and you don't get goals, the confidence can easily dissipate from that squad. So Chelsea were able to get a couple of goals today. Confidence was back in the team. Everyone was thriving. Suddenly, everyone wanted the football again, and they really started to play off that. Because look, this Chelsea team, I don't believe is good enough to win the Premier League. I don't think their squad is good enough to do that. I think their squad that, to be honest, probably contends for top 4 and then maybe Europa League, if I look at their pure squad on paper. But even then, they should be doing better than where they are in the table currently, right? They've only won 2 games this season against Luton and Fulham, and have drawn a few against whatever, Burnley, etc. So it's a Chelsea team that definitely should be doing better than they are currently doing so. However, there is time on their side. And the Premier League this year, I think there's a very much a discrepancy between certain teams that are good and certain teams that are bad. I think there is a definite bridge right now. There's certain teams that are so good. The Man Cities, the Arsenals, the Liverpools, the Tottenhams right now who are flying. And there's other teams in the Premier League, the likes of the Lutons, the Sheffield Uniteds, the Burnleys, the Bournemouths, that are really struggling right now. So there's a real discrepancy in the Premier League. I feel there's a real bridge between teams that are getting better and teams that are getting worse. What's it called? It's called like the poverty gap, the divide. I feel like there's certain teams that are just bridging over the gap, like the Brightons and Newcastles in recent years have moved on to the side, Aston Villa, etc., have moved on to the side of being teams that are really good. You've got teams like Wolves, etc., that are falling back into the sides that are not as good. Do you know what I mean? So I think they're creating a real gap in the Premier League now. There's a lot of really good teams, a lot of really bad teams, and not very much teams in the middle. I think Fulham you would class as a team in the middle in that respect. But do you get what I mean? And I think Chelsea right now, based on recent form, have really slid into the bottom half of those teams. And I think they're trying now to actually get back into where they deserve to be, which is in the top half of the table. But let's get into some of your comments. See you, and I appreciate joining my friend. Hope you're doing really well. We need to request to play every single game at night because that's the only time this slot perform. Yeah, the last time he won, I believe, was on Monday Night Football against Luton, right? I reacted after that game. 3-0. Sterling had a fantastic performance in that one. Also, the question I wanted to ask you earlier is how many private study hours should you spend for every hour you spend in lectures? I mean, to be fair, I don't study that much, to be honest. I've got so many other stuff going on. I'd say, look, do as much as you need, man. I'd say quality over quantity. I wouldn't say there's a set number. If you study better in short bursts, do that. I would say, look, for every hour that you're in lectures, I'd say replicate with an hour of study, maybe. I'm not too sure. I'm not a role model when it comes to studying. I cram it all in before the test starts, to be honest with you guys. But yeah, that's what I would suggest. But yeah, I think Chelsea overall, man, I think it's a good performance to kick on from. They needed this confidence back. They needed a win out of nowhere. Sometimes you just need a win. I thought once they got the win against Luton, they'd really kick on because their games that followed Luton were what, like Bournemouth, Forest? You're sitting there thinking, oh, this is good for Chelsea, man. They got Forest, they got Bournemouth. They can really kick on from that. But it didn't really quite materialise for them. So I think that's a massive shame on their behalf. Now, obviously, they've got this result against Fulham. The next game is against Burnley next weekend. That should be 3 points, to be honest. Then they've got a terror run of games, Chelsea Football Club. And I feel for them, man, because if you look at Chelsea's run of games right now, and they haven't really got Europe, so they haven't got that to contend with. But they've got Burnley next weekend, 3 o'clock, should get a win, even though it's away from home. Then they've got Arsenal, they've got Brentford, they've got Chelsea, they've got Tottenham, they've got Man City, they've got Newcastle, Brighton, and then Manchester United. So you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams right there that are all predicted to probably finish high. That all finished higher than Chelsea last season, if I'm not mistaken. Like Brentford's no scrubs either. So you're looking at from Chelsea thinking that is a tough run of games for Chelsea Football Club, and they're looking to get points out of nowhere. And this is a funny thing about football, right? It's a funny game because you can't predict anything. I think going into this game, I thought Chelsea were going to lose. I couldn't see Chelsea getting anything from this football match, to be honest with you guys. Nothing against Chelsea, just because I look at their team, I look at the players that are currently out injured, the likes of their fullbacks, so I believe are their 2 best players, Ben Chilwell and Reece James, going out injured. I look at the likes of the Nick Jackson, despite the fact that he's not had a terrific start to season, he's out suspended as well. You're thinking where the goals coming from. Obviously, at the time, I did not think Armando Broja would come back into the team. I thought he was still out injured. So you're sitting there thinking, it's a Chelsea team that's struggling, and out of nowhere, they get a result, and they can turn their season around. Look, the Arsenal game is obviously the game that I'm highlighting as an Arsenal fan, as a game that I can't wait to see Arsenal and Chelsea match up in a few weeks' time. I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea get a result against Arsenal. I genuinely wouldn't. They're playing at home, in front of their home crowd, fresh off an international break. It's a perfect type of game. They'll have some bodies back injured, back from injury, I believe, which is always a boost. No matter if their squad players or starting 11 players, whenever players come back from injury, it's a massive, massive boost to the whole ecosystem. So I think Chelsea will relish that game against Arsenal in a few weeks' time. And if you're Arsenal Football Club, you don't go into that game thinking, oh, it's a Chelsea team they're expected to win. Obviously, you have the expectation that you should win most of your football matches if you're trying to compete for a Premier League title. But don't get ahead of yourselves. Don't get complacent, because Chelsea are a tough team for anyone to play against. They proved it here today. This is the performance Chelsea put into that. This is not a performance of a team that's 15th, 16th in the Premier League table. This is not a performance of a team that's only won one game so far in 6. This is the performance of a solid team. No solid team comes with a 2-0 away victory, not really letting their opponents lay a glove on them. And that was Chelsea today. I thought they performed really well. From start to finish, I thought they were fantastic. I thought Mudryk was in his best. This is the thing about Mudryk, I've clocked it. Mudryk is a very confidence-driven footballer. He's not a footballer that you can really just... I think he's a footballer that you need to give him time. You need to give him confidence. You need to allow him to make mistakes, because he was not fluid today. You can still see he's a very raw, athletic footballer. He was making some mistakes where he was running the ball out of play, or his skill moves weren't coming off. So you got to just instill him with confidence, wrap an arm around his shoulder and let him get to work with Mudryk, because Mudryk is not a player that you can really afford to just keep out and not let him perform to his best. You spent 100 million on the guy, right? You spent 100 million. I'm not saying that's an excuse that you have to play him. You spend 100 million on him, but you spent 100 million for a reason. Mikel Arteta wanted this player for a reason. Arsenal willing to spend 90 million for a reason. There's no bum. Mudryk isn't a bum, man. I know he scored his first goal now, and you can see by the look on his face, he was absolutely delighted with that one. So I think to give the guy time, he will be able to cook. You just got to instill some confidence in him. I think his first goal will go a long way, man. A long way. If you can follow this up with a goal or a really good performance next week against Burnley, you can really start to see him kick on from that. Because it's not just getting your first goal, it's following up with the goal and the performance afterwards, because you don't want to make it a one-off performance in that respect. In terms of Fulham, look, this is Fulham's season in a nutshell, right? Fulham are overall a very decent football team. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. Obviously, they're 13th in the table right now. 2 wins, 2 draws, 3 losses. They got a draw at the Emirates against Arsenal with 10 men, which I think is a fantastic result for them. But this is Fulham, man. They're unpredictable. They'll do really well in certain games and win 2-3-0. Then other games, they'll completely fall apart and lose to teams they weren't expected to lose against. And I think Fulham, I think they're going to survive, which I think is good. I think the next ambition for them should obviously be to kick on and try and push for those Europa spots. But I don't think it's really possible for Fulham. You look at Aston Villa, you look at teams like Brighton, Newcastle flowing about. Tottenham have made a massive improvement. Manchester United obviously expecting them to rebound. There's not really a lot of spaces left for teams to really grasp in this league. So I think Fulham are going to struggle, to be honest with you guys. But look, anything can happen, man. Anything can happen. They've got some nice wins under their belt already. And obviously today would not have been ideal, but it's one of those things. In terms of Fulham's next fixtures, they've got Sheffield United next week. They've then got Tottenham, which is going to be a tough game. Brighton as well, which is going to be a tough game. And then Manchester United. So after Sheffield United game, they've got 3 tough games to play. But if you're Fulham, man, you can just got to embrace every game you can get under Marco Silva. They're having a little bit of second season syndrome in my eyes after a terrific last season. But I think they'll be just fine to survive. But yeah, I appreciate everyone who's tuning into the stream today. If you did enjoy, please make sure you subscribe down below. My Reds 5,000 subscribers. Drop your thoughts in the comment section down below as well. My next stream will be tomorrow for Arsenal versus Lens in the Champions League. Also, I saw yesterday's game. Why is VAR now using lines when it allowed Brentford's goal? Also, good for the equaliser that Forest scored with 10 men. I didn't watch the game, to be honest with you, not at all. I think they meant to use lines. They just forgot to use the lines against between Tottenham and Liverpool. That's a crazy game, to be honest. And I'll probably talk about that game more after the Lens Arsenal game tomorrow. But yeah, that was an absolutely crazy, crazy game. That one was right there. But yeah, I appreciate everyone tuning in. And I hope to catch you all in my next